With all the power from the tower, this is the powerhouse of the Eastern Caribbean, VON Radio, from the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis.
From the VON Newsline, this is the VON Major Newscast.
Good evening, I am Tamia Reed in with your VON Major News Package for today, Friday, May 24, 2019. In our lead stories, nationally, Culturama Committee addresses concerns of unfair judging claimed by C45 artists, and 66-year-old man wanted by police for incident on May 17th. Regionally, USVI Human Services announces shelter plans for 2019 hurricane season. Internationally, Theresa May quits. UK set for new PM by end of July. And in sports, Smith hits top gear as Australian warm-up with a victory. We'll have the details to these and other stories after this message.
Another look.
Different from how you've seen it before.
Another look.
Takes an in-depth look into business, politics, science, technology, religion, and more.
Another look.
Featuring documentaries from the BBC, regional features, and local ones too.
Another look.
Every Monday at 3 p.m. on the Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse, VON.
Welcome back, and now the national news in detail. The 2019 Culturama festivities are some 2 months away, and as the temperature increases towards the Caribbean's greatest summer line, artists participating in the two singing art forms, calypso and soca, have been raising concerns about the competition. Artists are of the view that over the years, they are not being judged by the criteria set out. The VON Newsline contacted Executive Director of the Nevis Culturama Secretariat, Mr. Antonio Abernathy Liebert, to address the concerns levied against judges.
I think that the comment from Calypsonians that, well, young Calypsonians, that they are being treated unfairly is not justified, because we had a situation last year where the mighty Suki came up from the junior Calypso competition and walked straight into the senior Calypso final. So that comment, I think, is not one that can be justified by the young Calypsonians. We also had Lady Smooth last year who sang on the Calypso finals, and she was a first-timer.
Mr. Liebert also outlined the approach the Secretariat is seeking to take to prevent any such further allegations and to ensure a robust judging system.
We are in consultation with two independent judges, one out of Trinidad, one out of St. Martin, and we are looking at proposals that they would have sent to us to conduct a judges training workshop here on Nevis. The judging workshop that we are looking at, it would be twofold. One workshop, the facilitator is trained in both calypso and soca. We are looking to do that in the month of June, when the calypso tents would have been in full swing, and let's say a month or so away from the actual competitions. We want to bring a judging workshop close enough so that the judges, once they are trained, the material that they would have received in the workshop would be fresh in their minds.
Executive Director of the Nevis Culturama Secretariat, Mr. Antonio Abernathy Liebert. In 2018, junior badman Polo Newton, who was of the view he was unfairly judged at the Senior Kaiso semi-finals, took the Culturama Committee to court on August 4, 2018, seeking an injunction to restrain the committee from hosting the Kaiso finals without his participation. The High Court granted the injunction, allowing Polo to sing in the 2018 Culturama TDC Senior Kaiso finals. In related news, has the committee ever thought of bringing judges from overseas to ensure impartial judging? That's a question the VON Newsline put to the Executive Director, Mr. Antonio Abernathy Liburd. This was Mr. Liburd's response to that question.
I do not think it's a good idea because there are certain things that Calypsonians sing about that is pertinent to Nevis, and judges coming from overseas would not be up to date with the things that are happening here. Some of the things that the Calypsonians sing may be foreign to them, so they may be lost. So I think to bring judges from overseas really is a bad idea. What we have to do is to create a new pool of judges, and very shortly we will be making an appeal in the media for persons who are interested in judging Calypso, not only for Culture Number 45, but beyond that. They can register their names at the Culture Secretariat, and thereafter we are going to have them trained so that we know we have a pool of freshly trained judges that we can call on to adjudicate our Calypso and also our Soca Monarch contest.
He also had this admonishment to potential judges of the competition.
What persons have to do is that once they are called upon to judge and once they have accepted the call, is to remove all biasness and judge the competition fairly. Also, if persons know that they are affiliated to a Calypsonian in any way, they should remove themselves from the judging panel. Or if asked to judge and a particular Calypsonian that they are affiliated with is in the competition, say to the chairman of the Calypso subcommittee that I have a biasness or I have a close relationship with this particular Calypsonian and I would prefer not to be a judge.
Executive Director of the Nevis Culturama Secretariat, Mr. Antonio Abernathy Liburd. In police news, a man is wanted by the police in relation to an incident which occurred a week ago. Based on a wanted person bulletin from the police, 66-year-old Purcell Sylvester Hope of Newtown St. Kitts is wanted by lawmen for a wounding incident that took place at the Independence Square on Friday, May 17th. A warrant is also in existence for the arrest of Hope. He is described as having a dark complexion, black and gray hair, brown eyes, 5 feet 5 inches in height, and medium built. Anyone who sees or knows the whereabouts of Purcell Hope is asked to contact the Criminal Investigations Department at 662-7062. As the 2019 hurricane season officially starts in approximately 7 days, the Nevis Disaster Management Department, NDMD, as well as their partners aiding in sensitization, is encouraging the general public on the importance of being prepared for possible storms to impact the island. The NDMD dedicated the month of June to hurricane awareness and preparedness and will collaborate with the faith-based organization, namely the Charlestown Methodist Church, as well as the Ivor Walters Primary School. The VON Newsline spoke to the director of the NDMD, Mr. Brian Dyer, about some of the activities.
We have done a lot with regards to sensitization. We have conducted surveys in the communities. We have gone around to the churches and made presentations. We have involved the schools and make presentations. We continue to work with the non-government organizations and businesses to ensure that they are aware of the hurricane hazard. We continue to do much, but we still understand that it's an everyday exercise, and we not only have to concentrate on hurricane only, but the other 11 hazards that could impact the Federation at any time.
Mr. Dyer went further into recommendations on preparedness the general public should have for the hurricane season.
The disaster management would continue its efforts in sensitizing the public with regards to what to do before, during, and after, indicating to the public about the shelters that would be utilized this year for hurricane in the event of anyone needing to be sheltered. The list will be published shortly. The facilities were inspected and the report will be sent to the appropriate authorities to effect whatever minor repairs that needs to be done. So that will be released shortly to the general public. The disaster management has also looked at the psychosocial support aspect of the impact of the trauma that may be realized from an impact of a hurricane. So we went ahead and had persons in the communities trained in issuing or delivering psychosocial support in the event that some persons are impaired by distress.
Mr. Brian Dyer. Reports reaching the VON Newsline have indicated that the boat or ferry fees to travel on the sea have increased by $5 EC. It is understood that the fares will increase from $25 to $30 for adults and $15 to $20 for children. It is uncertain if the increase is for all ferries or only one. Moreover, the VON Newsline attempted to contact General Manager of NASPA, Mr. Orwell Brandy, and Minister of Transport, the Honorable Ian Patches-Liebert, but to no avail. However, we contacted the chairman of the Transport Board in St. Kitts and Nevis, who stated, and I quote, "I have no knowledge of any increase," end of quote. The VON Newsline will continue to pursue more details of this developing story. The Nevis Renal Society will be hosting its 7th annual Renal Walk on Saturday, May 25th. In an interview with the VON Newsline, President of the Nevis Renal Society, Ms. Sherilyn Pemberton, shared the route of the walk.
The route that we will be taking will be starting at the David Walwyn Exercise Playground, there at Bass Plain. We are going to take the road immediately next to the playground that is close to the cemetery, and we're going to go up to Bass Plain. We make a left onto where Stuart has his ice vending place, and then we make a right onto the Port Road. Then we come back via the main road by the roundabout back to where we started at the David Walwyn Playground, where we'll have a sumptuous and healthy breakfast.
She also explained that the society has been steadfast about imparting knowledge about renal kidney health to the Nevisian public.
We have been sensitizing the public over the years, and I think there need to be a lot more educational sessions. And this is something that we are trying to get into, because at the end of the day it's mostly preventative care that we are taking care of. And this is where the educational sessions comes in. We have had a week of activity there in March, and we did a lot of educational sessions. And in one of the private places there at the port, we did a health screening there. So the general public is gradually becoming aware of, the need to take ownership of their own health and to make informed decisions based on the information that they have been getting.
President of the Nevis Renal Society, Ms. Sherilyn Pemberton. On March 14, 2019, St. Kitts and Nevis joined the rest of the world in observing World Kidney Day under the theme, Kidney Health for Everyone, Everywhere. During this period, the Nevis Renal Society held a number of activities where they engaged the general public and schools about kidney health. The 2019 campaign focused on the burden of kidney disease, disparities, and access to health care. At the second sitting of the Nevis Island Assembly for 2019, the House paid tribute to former Speaker Herman W. Bobby Liebert, Esquire, JP, who served as a senator of the Nevis Island Assembly from 1992 to 2000. He was also a founding member of the Nevis Historical and Conservation Society, NHCS. Additionally, he served as Speaker of the St. Kitts Nevis Parliament from 1980 to 1985, legal advisor to the Nevis Island Administration from 1983 to 1992, and again from 2010 to 2013. President of the Nevis Island Assembly is the Honorable Farrell Smithen.
For all those persons who follow the sitting of Assembly would have said that he served the political party which he embellished very well. Nevisians the world over would listen intently to his utterings, which to most of them was very dynamic. He was, in my view, an astute politician.
He also spoke of an incident which occurred 20 years ago.
Senator Liebert, as I recall, was very passionate in his views on Nevis's autonomy. And this was most evident in his presentation during this debate in 1998. I happen to have been the clerk then. I vividly recall during the budget session of 1999, where he pointed that the figures for the budget were off. This, to me, identified the precise nature of the late senator.
President of the Nevis Island Assembly, the Honorable Farrell Smithen. Herman W. Liebert, alias Bobby Liebert, was born in Nevis on April 2, 1941. Mr. Liebert passed away on Friday, April 12, 2019, at the age of 78 years. He was accorded an official funeral at the Gingerland Methodist Church here on Nevis on Saturday, May 4th. The One Love Rastafari movement here on Nevis, in collaboration with UNESCO, will on Sunday, May 26, host a Pan-African dialogue at the Jessops Community Center from 4 p.m. The dialogue is being held in observance of African Liberation Day, which is recognized worldwide annually on Saturday, May 25th. Co-chair of the One Love Rastafari movement, Mr. Delroy Ras Iroy Pinney, spoke to the VON Newsline about the facilitator of the event.
Mutabaruka has been here already, and he's a radio announcer with a show called The Cutting Edge, which really has garnered a lot of interest of the entire Caribbean and the world at large. Many of us here in St. Kitts Nevis, especially the Rastafari community, is familiar with Mutabaruka. Very intelligent Rastaman who would be able to look at our past, our history, what we're experiencing today, make the connections with slavery, colonialism, neo-colonialism, and have us examine what we're dealing with today as a people when it comes to our food, our religion, our system of governance.
He further noted that the event is being hosted to educate the populace about African heritage and African liberation.
It would also make us take a serious look into the whole aspect of African liberation, what it means to us as a people here today in 2019. How can we apply our lessons learned and the whole meaning of African liberation? How can we apply it to today's living? Because we see what we're dealing with today when basically our politicians and others have run out of answers to our problems, especially when it concerns the youth and that level of consciousness. I think Mutabaruka is lively, he is thought-provoking, and he is able to defend himself and bring you information that you probably never knew existed.
Mr. Delroy Ras Iroy Pinney. On St. Kitts, a similar event, dubbed Dialogue in the Square on Pan-Africanism, will be held on Saturday, May 25th at the Independence Square from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. That's the national news segment. You can visit our website at www.vonradio.com or check us out on Facebook at Von Radio or our Von Radio YouTube channel for these and other stories. News from across the region is next.
Ladies and gentlemen, this here's another one for the steppers.
Swipe to win big in 2019. That's right, the Bank of Nevis Limited is once again giving you, our valued customers, a chance to win big. Just swipe or use your Bond Visa credit card for US $100 for a chance to win a cruise for two, an iPhone XS, or a grocery dash at Best Buy Supermarket.
Say what?
Sign up for a Bond Visa credit card and automatically be entered for a chance to win. This offer ends August 31st, 2019. So tell your friends and family, just swipe to win big with the Bank of Nevis. The Bank of Nevis Limited, improving the quality of life. Like us on Facebook or follow us on Instagram.
Welcome back, and now the regional news in detail. In the U.S. Virgin Islands, as the 2019 hurricane season draws closer, the Department of Human Services has announced that 2 shelters will be open to the public on the island of St. Croix, 2 on St. Thomas, 1 on St. John, and 1 shelter on Water Island. The department did not name the shelters, however, as the process of identification may still be underway. According to the VI Consortium, the Virgin Islands Department of Health will open special needs shelters on the islands of St. Croix, St. Thomas, and St. John. A special needs shelter is for residents who, during periods of evacuation or emergency, require sheltering assistance due to physical impairment, mental impairment, cognitive impairment, or sensory disabilities. Depending on the threat to the territory, shelters are anticipated to open approximately 48 hours prior to landfall. In Jamaica, the Ministry of Justice is moving to operationalize the Child Diversion Act, which steers children away from the formal justice system to prevent them from being treated as criminals. That revelation came from Justice Minister Delroy Chuck. Child diversion is the process of implementing measures to deal with children who are alleged, accused, or recognized to have infringed the penal law without resorting to formal judicial proceedings. One of the main objectives of the Act is to ensure that every child in conflict with the law is treated in a manner that upholds human dignity and worth. Out of Barbados. The government has signed a deal with the investment and advisory arm of the World Bank Group that will see the country's only airport being completely renovated and refurbished. The Financial Advisory Services Agreement was yesterday inked with the International Finance Corporation to roll out the Private-Public Partnership PPP agreement that will lead to a 27,000 square meter improvement to the Grantley Adams International Airport and the establishment of numerous amenities. Finally, out of Haiti, Bamboo Capital Partners, a Luxembourg-based company, has been selected by the government of Haiti and the World Bank to manage the 17.22 million electricity off-grid fund that will increase access to renewable energy in Haiti. The goal of the fund is to provide 200,000 Haitian households with electricity over the next 10 years. Currently, less than 1 in 3 households in Haiti have access to electricity. In rural areas, access to power is as little as 5%. That's it for our regional stories. Stay with us for news around the world. Welcome back, and now the international news in detail. Theresa May has said she will quit as Conservative leader on 7th June, paving the way for a contest to decide a new Prime Minister. Here is Mrs. May.
I feel as certain today as I did 3 years ago that in a democracy, if you give people a choice, you have a duty to implement what they decide. I have done my best to do that. I negotiated the terms of our exit and a new relationship with our closest neighbours that protects jobs, our security and our union. I have done everything I can to convince MPs to back that deal. Sadly, I have not been able to do so. I tried 3 times. I believe it was right to persevere, even when the odds against success seemed high.
Mrs. May said she will continue to serve as PM while a Conservative leadership contest takes place.
But it is now clear to me that it is in the best interests of the country for a new Prime Minister to lead that effort. So I am today announcing that I will resign as leader of the Conservative and Unionist Party on Friday the 7th of June, so that a successor can be chosen. I will shortly leave the job that it has been the honour of my life to hold. The second female Prime Minister, but certainly not the last. I do so with no ill will, but with enormous and enduring gratitude to have had the opportunity to serve the country I love.
UK's PM Theresa May. The party said it hoped a new leader could be in place by the end of July. Asked about the Prime Minister's announcement, Mr. Trump said, "I feel badly for Theresa." Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn said Mrs. May had been right to resign and that the Conservative Party was now disintegrating. Finally, U.S. President Donald Trump has ordered U.S. intelligence agencies to cooperate with an investigation into whether he was spied on during the 2016 election. The probe, headed by Attorney General William Barr, is examining the origins of the Russia investigation. It has long been requested by Mr. Trump, who often labels the inquiry into Russian interference a witch hunt. On Thursday, he announced a directive that gave Mr. Barr sweeping new powers, including declassifying documents. Mr. Barr is already subject to intense scrutiny and criticism by Democrats who have accused him of acting on the president's behalf and not in the national interest. That brings us to the end of our news segments. The latest in sports is next.
See you, John.
Betty, how come you never tell me what's going on up at TDC?
Well, I'm glad you asked because TDC Automotive has some awesome deals. Get the car a new spare tire for just $100 plus VAT. And they have selected tires for 30% off. And for the Jeep, if you buy a selected Goodyear tire, you can get a second one for just $99.
Well.
And not finished yet. They're offering up to 30% off selected Valvoline oils and universal car mats and a whopping 50% off Energix batteries.
TDC Automotive not making no joke. I going up there now.
Welcome back. Another sports in detail. In cricket, Stephen Smith maintained a promising run of scores ahead of the World Cup by guiding Australia to a comfortable warm-up match victory over the West Indies in Southampton. This was after Usman Khawaja sent a skier through the camp when he was struck on the helmet by Andre Russell. On his way to 76 batting at number 4, Smith added 53 with his captain Aaron Finch and 109 with Sean Marsh, who then formed a union with Glenn Maxwell to glide the Australians past their target of 230 with 11.3 overs to spare. Summarized scores: West Indies 229 all out in 46.2 overs, Australia 231 for 3 from 31.3 overs. In basketball, the Toronto Raptors are one game away from reaching the NBA Finals for the first time in their history after a 105-99 win over the Milwaukee Bucks. The Raptors, helped by Kawhi Leonard's game-high 35 points, have now won 3 games on the trot after losing the first 2 of the best-of-7 series. A win at home on Saturday would see Toronto set up a meeting with defending champions Golden State Warriors. Game 7, if necessary, will be played in Milwaukee on Monday. Finally, in athletics, Caster Semenya will race in the 3,000 meters at the Diamond League Prefontaine Classic on June 30th, a distance she can compete at without having to lower her testosterone levels. Under the new IAAF rules, the double 800 meters Olympic champion can run in events from 400 meters to the mile by taking medication. South African Semenya, 28, has said she will not take medication to comply with the rules. The race will be her first since the rules came into effect on May 8. That's it for the sports segment. The general weather forecast is next. Welcome back. Another local weather forecast for St. Kitts and Nevis. Weather tonight partly cloudy with a 10% or a slight chance of showers. Weather tomorrow cloudy with some showers, some heavy with a 30% or low chance of thunderstorms. Winds east-southeast at 8 to 15 knots. Seas less than 1.5 meters or less than 5 feet. And sunrise tomorrow is at 5:37 a.m. And that's how we wrap up the major news package for today, Friday, May 24, 2019. Before we go, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Nationally, Culturama Committee addresses concerns of unfair judging claimed by C45 artists. And 66-year-old man wanted by police for incident on May 17. Regionally, USVI Human Services announces shelter plans for 2019 hurricane season. Internationally, Theresa May quits. UK set for new PM by end of July. And in sports, Smith hits top gear as Australian warm up with victory. On behalf of the rest of the news team, I am Tammy Reid, wishing you an enjoyable weekend.